Cyberspace continues to transform the way we live and the way we do business. Securing cyberspace has become a critical need in 21st century to enable people, enterprises, and government to interact and conduct their business. Hey guys, I'm Archana from Edureka and I welcome you to this session on application security. So without any delay, let's take a look at topics that we will be talking about today. We will begin by discussing what cybersecurity is and why it is necessary. Then we'll take a look at what application security is and why applications seems to be great target for cyber crimes. And finally, we'll see what SQL injection attack is and how to perform one on a vulnerable application in the demo part of the session. So I hope agenda was clear to you guys. Let's get started then. Today, our entire modern way of life, from communication to e-commerce, fundamentally depends on internet. Internet was not originally built to be what it is today. Internet originally developed when computers were so huge and so expensive that only few organizations and government had them. The purpose of internet then was to let these massive computers talk to each other. And as soon as two computers could send information back and forth successfully, we had network in no time. This network gradually grew until personal computers emerged in 1980s. And now, we don't just use computers to talk to each other. We exchange money, play games, read news, do shopping and whatnot using internet. Internet informs, entertains and connects us. But this luxury of using internet comes with a price, which is security. So you think you're safe when you're using internet? Definitely not. One computer could send another instruction to delete everything on it or completely take over. We call this viruses and malware. One person could steal another's identity by guessing, cracking or extracting a password. Or someone could trick you into clicking on something which you're not supposed to and thereby giving away confidential information. We call this phishing. These vulnerabilities are built into internet's very architecture and we call them cyber attacks. To name some of the popular attacks, we have malware, phishing, man-in-the-middle attack, denial of service attack, ransomware, and many more. If you guys are interested to know more about these attacks, you can refer to cybersecurity playlist by Edureka. Criminals use these attacks to steal billions of dollars, government use them for surveillance, and hacktivists use them to further their personal goals. But the good thing here is that even with this flawed internet, there are simple things that we can do to protect ourselves from these attacks. This is where cybersecurity comes into picture. Cybersecurity is the protection of internet-connected systems like computers, servers, mobile devices, electronic gadgets, networks, and data from malicious attacks. Cybersecurity is sometimes referred to as information technology security or electronic information security. So, when an organization has a strong sense of network security and an effective incident response plan, it is better able to prevent and mitigate these malicious attacks. Ensuring cybersecurity requires the coordination of efforts throughout an information system, and this includes application security. It mainly focuses on keeping software and devices free from cyber threats. We will learn more about this application security as we progress further. Then there is network security. It is the practice of securing a computer network from intruders, whether it could be targeted attackers or simple malware. Information security. It is basically protecting the integrity and privacy of data. So you're protecting organizations from possible data breaches. And then there is operational security. Operational security includes all the tasks for handling and protecting data assets, the permissions which users usually have when they are accessing a network, and the procedures that determine how and where data can be stored and shared all fall under this category. Then there is disaster recovery and business continuity. They define how an organization responds to a cyber threat incident or any other event that causes the loss of operations and data. And finally, the most important thing, end user education. It addresses the most unpredictable cybersecurity factor, that is people. Teaching users to delete suspicious email attachments, not plug in unidentified USB drivers, and various other important lessons is vital for security of any organization. Now focusing on application security. Web application security is the process of protecting website and many other online services against different security threats. Common targets for web application attacks are content management systems like WordPress, database administration tools like PHP-MyAdmin, and different kind of software as a service applications. Now guys, why do you think these web applications are the most preferred targets for cyber attacks? Well, let's start few reasons. Firstly, due to coding practices. If the code is poorly written, hackers can exploit application layer loopholes to initiate attack. Suppose if the code is complex, it increases the likelihood of unattended vulnerabilities and malicious code manipulation. Secondly, ease of execution. Most attacks can be easily automated and launched indiscriminately against thousands or even tens or hundreds of thousands of targets at the same time. And lastly, the most popular reason is because people get paid in bulk to launch attack on applications. Well, I guess these reasons are convincing enough, right? Organizations failing to secure their web applications run the risk of being attacked, and this is mostly due to vulnerabilities that are present in application. And this gives leeway for attackers to manipulate web applications. Let's take a look at few common type of attacks. To begin with, there is SQL injection. Here, perpetrator uses malicious SQL code to manipulate a backend database so that he can get his hands on sensitive information. And then there is cross-site scripting. This usually occurs when attacker injects malicious code directly into an application. This way, he can get access to accounts, activate trojans, or modify page content without user's consent. And then there is remote file inclusion. A hacker injects a file onto a web application server. By doing so, he can easily execute malicious scripts or code within the application as well as steal data and manipulate it without you knowing about it. And then there is cross-site request forgery. It is caused when a malicious web application makes a user's browser perform an unwanted action in a site to which is currently logged into. Most of the time, organizations have certain countermeasures to ensure safety against these attacks. Let's take a look at few such countermeasures. To begin with, there is web application firewalls. These firewalls are designed to examine incoming traffic to block attack attempts and thereby compensating for any code manipulation. And then there is information gathering. So you manually review the application. You identify entry point, client-side codes, server-side codes. You classify third-party hosted content so that way you can keep your application very safe. And then there is authorization. Here, you test the application for path traversals, vertical and horizontal access control issues, missing authorization, and insecure object and references, and many more. And then there is cryptography. You can use different kind of encryption and decryption algorithms to secure all your data transmissions. And finally, you can install antivirus programs, spyware detection programs, and removal programs to prevent cyber attacks. So guys, at this point, you must know what web application security is and why web application seems to be favorite target for cyber attacks. So guys, we have reached to the end of the theory part. In the demo part, we'll see how to perform an SQL injection on a vulnerable application. But before that, let's quickly go through what SQL injection actually is. So basically, SQL injection is the placement of a malicious code in SQL statements that might destroy your database without you knowing about it. So SQL injection usually occurs when you ask a user for input like maybe the username or user ID. And instead of giving you name and ID, what user does is he gives you an SQL statement that you will unknowingly run in a database and which causes the attack. For example, as you can see on the screen, we are using getRequestString to extract input from the user, which is stored in the variable user ID, and then that is attached to the select statement. Well, at first look, SQL statement there seems to be unharmed, right? So let's say you have a login page asking for user ID. Instead of giving a proper ID and password, user can give something like 105 or 1 is equal to 1. Now you might be thinking, is this even a valid statement? Yes, the SQL statement is completely valid and it will return all rows from the user's table since or 1 is equal to 1 is always true. So this way, hackers might get access to all the usernames and password in a database by simply inserting random data or random SQL statement like we just saw. Well, it looks dangerous, right? So guys, here we are in the most interesting and fun part of the session. Now we'll see how to exploit SQL vulnerability of an application to extract sensitive information. But guys, please do remember that you can't just go ahead and do it on any application that's available on net. It's illegal. But there are certain vulnerable applications especially created to perform web application penetration testing. So in this demo, we'll be using one such application. So as first step, you need to set up a web application penetration testing environment. And in this demo, we'll be using Metasploitable 2 as our vulnerable operating system. And as for the web application penetration testing distribution, we'll be using Kali Linux. So basically, both of them are virtual machines. Since both of them are virtual machines, you can either use VirtualBox or VMware to install them. So let me show where you can find Kali Linux and Metasploitable 2. I'm more comfortable with VMware, so I'll be using VMware guys in the demo. So just search for Kali Linux. And it's mostly the first link that you find, official Kali Linux downloads. And you can see a lot of links here. It says Kali Linux for VMware and VirtualBox. So if you want to know from the beginning as in how to install and stuff, you can download this ISO file. Or if you just want the image, you just want to create a virtual machine in single step, you can download this. So I've already downloaded it. Now next, Metasploitable 2. And you can go for the sourceforge.net. So yeah. Here you can find a zip file, so download it, unzip it and store both your Kali Linux and Metasploitable 2 in the same folder so that you can access them easily. So there we go, I've already installed them. Now let's go to VMware Workstation Pro. Here it is. So guys, yeah, if you have installed VMware Workstation Pro properly, then this is the page you'll usually land on. As you can already see, I've installed both Kali Linux and Metasploitable 2, but don't worry, I'll show you how to install them. Yeah, as you can see, you can click on create a new virtual machine here and click on next, and you can just follow the instruction steps that you see on the installation screen if you want to install Kali Linux from step 1. But let's say I just want to attach image which you already have. So I'm not going to do this here. I'm just going to say open a virtual machine here and go for desktop. And here I have Kali Linux image already present. So I'm going to just click on that and click OK. So in one step, your Kali Linux is installed. Same goes for the Metasploitable 2. It's in my local list D. Yeah, here it goes. Metasploitable 2 and here's the image. Just select it and click on open. It'll be installed. Now, before we get them running, there are certain settings that you'll have to do. So just click on Kali Linux here and click on edit virtual machine settings. So here it goes. Memory settings, I've set it to 4 GB because we'll be doing most of the work using Kali Linux, so we'll be needing it. Otherwise, it'll work very slow. And for the processors, number of processors 1, but the number of core processors totally depends on you as in what you want to do using Kali Linux. So I've just assigned 2. Rest of the settings are simple. Hard disk storage 40 GB, and then display settings. It has a graphical user interface, so you can set this accelerate 3D graphics, and 768 is the most guest memory that's usually recommended for graphics. And then the most important thing here is network adapter. As you can see, there are a lot of options here. Mostly we use NAT, but the problem here is that if both Kali Linux and Metasploitable 2 are set to NAT, they'll have same IP address, so interacting with both of them it'll be a difficult task. So what you do is you check this bridged option here which says connected directly to the physical networks. So basically it assigns different IP address for the Kali Linux and Metasploitable 2. And click on OK here. Same goes for the Metasploitable 2. Click on edit virtual machine settings here. And there we go. We won't be doing much here as in using Metasploitable 2. We only need it because like I said earlier, there are certain applications which are vulnerable and you can experiment on them. So this Metasploitable 2 had such few applications like Mutility, which we'll be using, then damn vulnerable application and many more. So guys, you don't have to assign more memory to this. So just say 512 MB. And as for the processors, I've assigned just one, hard disk 8 GB. And again, the network adapter set it to bridged, both 1 and 2. And display doesn't have a graphical user interface like Kali Linux does, so you don't have to checklist this. Just click on OK. So yeah guys, there we go. I'm gonna power up both of these virtual machines now. Metasploitable 2 and Kali Linux. It usually takes about 1 or 2 minutes. So let's give it a time. So guys, here we go. Kali Linux is all ready. Basically, when you're installing for the first time, it asks you to set up a username and password. But when you're logging in for the first time, just use root. Then you can change the username later. Click on next and password. So guys, yeah, while this is opening up, let's go to Metasploitable 2 and it says login with MSF admin, login ID as well as password. So just say MSF admin. Yeah, as you can see, we have successfully logged into. And let's try ifconfig command to see if the IP address has been assigned. So as you can see, right now it's connected to Ethernet. I'll just have to assign IP address, but before that, let's go back to Kali Linux. So guys, yeah, Kali Linux is ready. Just click on terminal here. So let me try ifconfig command here. As you can see, an IP address has been assigned to it, but not to Metasploitable 2. What I meant is, so let's go back and assign an IP address to Metasploitable 2 as well, and within the same subnet location. So as you can see, this is the subnet location, and this should be the same net mask that we're gonna assign. So let's go back to Metasploitable 2, and you can use command sudo ifconfig, and as you can see, the network name ETH0 and 192. Make sure the subnet is same, 192.168.1. Let's say 2, and net mask, which was 255.0.0.0 if I'm right, and click on enter. It's asking for the password, that's same, MSF admin, and let's check again using ifconfig. So guys, here you go. So as you can see, IP address has been assigned 192.168.1.2. Now let's go back to Kali Linux. So guys, yeah, let's see if we are able to ping to Metasploitable 2. So ping and IP address 192.168.1.2. So yeah, it's happening, right? So yeah, Control Z. Now, if you want to access Metasploitable 2 from Kali Linux terminal, all you have to do is enter the IP address in the browser. So let's go to Firefox here. Let me maximize the screen. Sorry about that, guys. I forgot earlier. So yeah, guys, let me just type for the IP address. HTTP. I already have it here. So Metasploitable 2. So guys, yeah, if you are connected properly with Metasploitable 2, you'll land up in this page. So as you can see, it has a lot of applications here. Like I said earlier, it has Tweaky, it has PHP MyAdmin, Mutilde, Damn Vulnerable Application, and WebDAV. The one which we will be using in this demo is Mutilde. So I'm gonna click on that. So just give me a minute, guys. Yeah. So you should land up in this page. It's the Mutilde application here. And now you have this OWASP top 10. Every year, OWASP releases 10 vulnerabilities that might be possible in an application. Like we discussed SQL injection, and there is cross-site scripting, and we also discussed cross-site request forgery, and there are many others. So every once in 2 years or maybe once every year, it releases like 10 vulnerabilities that could be present in an application. So today we'll be working on injection. We'll see how to extract data using certain tools that are present in Kali Linux. So click on user info. It should take you to login page. So here we go. Now, thing is, when you're using this login page for the first time, when you click name and password here, after clicking view account details, it might show you an error saying that the account table is not present. So I'll let you know at the end of the session how to resolve that error. But let's go ahead with our demo here. Before that, so guys, other than Kali Linux and Metasploitable 2, we'll be using two more tools here. One is SQL map to perform SQL injection. Another one is burp suite, which is an interceptive proxy. So by default, it's installed in Kali Linux. So this is the burp suite. So just click on that. So basically what this burp suite does is it captures a request that we will use in SQL map to enumerate the database, as in to check if any vulnerabilities are present in application. So yeah, give it a minute. It says your GRE appears to be version so and so for Oracle Corporation. Yeah, I'll just click on okay. So here we go, guys. Burp suite, it says temporary project. So click on next and use default details and click on start burp suite. So here we go, guys. As you can see, there are a lot of options here, but the one which we'll be using today is mostly proxy. So just click on proxy here and go for options. As you can see, burp proxy uses listeners to receive incoming HTTP requests from your browser. So to do that, they need an IP address to which they can contact, right? This is the IP address which they'll be using to send the request. So yeah, set it to 127.0.0.1 and the port is 8080. And that's it. Just ignore rest of the details and go for intercept here. Make sure the intercept is on, and there we go. Now let's go back to terminal, as in Firefox, and here we'll have to make settings to the. So guys, here we go for settings, and if you scroll down you see settings option here, and make sure you've set it manually and checklist this and see if you've given the right IP address and the port, and click on OK. Now going back, should go to here and using some random username and password, just log in. Let's say Dean and some random password. View account details and go to burpswit and see if it has captured the request properly. No, this is not the entire request, guys. This is just half of it. So if you get this error, just don't worry about it. Just try doing it again and again. Just off it and on. Let's try another name. Let's say Molly, and see if the burpsit has captured the request yet. It's just still half the code. Let me try again. So here we go again. Let's say Dolly and some random password, and click on view account details. Don't save. Say Ritz and just give it a time. It should capture a request at least once, right? Let's try another name then. Yeah, here it goes, guys. It has captured the entire request. So make sure you get this upgrade and secure request one. Then you're sure that the entire request has been captured. So just right click and you have save item here. So just save it. You can just store it anywhere, but make sure you remember where you store it. So let me just name it, say extract.txt, and click on save. Yeah, and click on OK. And there you go, guys. Then you can just off the intercept now because we don't need it anymore, and click yes. You can just close the tabs here as well. Before that you need to go to preferences and make sure you've set your default settings back, as in we set the proxy settings earlier, right? So just remove and make it to the default settings, which is this here, and OK, and close it and close tabs. Just me maximize the screen. Yeah, here we go. And from now on we'll be using just one tool, which is SQL map. It's basically installed by default in Kali Linux. So let me show you guys. Give me a second here. In applications, under database assessment tools, here you can see, okay, on the right side you can see it's the fourth option from the end. It's SQL map. So we'll be using that tool here. So just go to terminal, maximize it. Yeah, let me clear the screen for you guys. So just give SQL map. So guys, basically SQL map is an open source software that is used to detect and exploit database vulnerabilities and provide options for injecting malicious code into them. As you can see, there are quite a lot of options here. Okay, so before we use that, I forgot to mention, just go back to files and see if I've stored the intercept file properly. Yeah, it says extract.txt, but let me right click and move to desktop. Give desktop and select. And now let me just see if this stored. Yeah, as you can see, I've done this like multiple times, so I have a lot of files here. And just close. Now let me maximize this and let me clear the screen again. So SQL map. Yeah, there you go, guys. You can see a lot of options here. Well, we'll be using quite a few, but not all, but you'll understand the purpose. Now SQL map, we're using -r to specify the request which we stored. Make sure you specify the correct location, which we stored in the desktop, right? So desktop and extract.txt, and and we're using a command called -dbs. This enumerates, or it checks the database to see if there are any vulnerabilities. So just click enter. Yeah, so as you can see, it starts enumerating, and as you can see, it shows different injection points here, as in it shows wherever it's possible to extract data. So basically, it shows different injection points here. So as you can see, it says at the end there are multiple injection points, so please select the one to use for the following injections. Let's just use a default option, so just click 0 and click enter. As you can see here, it is fetched. The backend DBMS is MySQL. It says web server operating system is Linux Ubuntu, and web application technology is PHP so and so version, Apache so and so version. And again, backend DBMS is MySQL greater than 4.1 version. And it was also fetched different kind of databases that were present. That's damn vulnerable application, then there's Metasploit and MySQL, OWASP 10, TikiWiki, TikiWiki 195, and so on. Let's say we are interested in OWASP. Let's see what tables are present in this database. For that, use the same command earlier, but just remove -dbs, use capital D, make sure it's capital D, and give the database name, that's OWASP 10, and table, TABLES. Again, it's asking for the options it's giving, so let me just go for the default option again, click enter. So there you go guys, it is comfortably fetched all the tables that are there, accounts, block tables, capture data. Well, if you're a hacker, this could be very really interesting information for you, right? So let's go dig in, let's see what else is there in the accounts table. For that, OWASP, go back and -t, table, give table name, let's say accounts, and dump is the command that you want to use if you want to see what information is there. So dump, and again default option 0. So there you go guys, it successfully fetched all the information that there is in the account table. It fetched username, if the user has admin ID as an admin access or not, passwords, and signatures in actual text format. Now you guys might be wondering, what's the point here, since we know that the application which we used here to log in is already an vulnerable application. But let me tell you one thing guys, there are so many applications outside with SQL vulnerability that you can perform this on, though it's illegal. So you got my point, right? There are a lot of applications with such vulnerabilities and which have been exploited. You can see a lot of cases in newspapers daily. It's been hacked, data breach and all that. So basically, this is the vulnerability and we made use of that and we have extracted information. So for the sake of fun, let's try one more table. Let's say credit cards this time. And -dump 0 and enter. So yeah, it has fetched the credit card information as well. Credit card number, CCV, expiration date. So there you go guys. Now you know how to extract information by making use of the SQL vulnerability that was present in application. So as for this demo, we used Mutility. You can go ahead and use damn vulnerable application or any other thing. So the most important thing here for you is to set up a virtual application penetration testing environment. When you do that, once you've done that, the next thing, it's all easy. You can just try practicing and you'll be fine with it. So guys, go ahead and explore it. Don't just see it and leave it here. So try it doing by yourself. And yeah, before we go back, like I said earlier, if you're logging in for the first time in the Mutility, as in the login page, you might get an error saying accounts table is not present. So let me just show you how to avoid that error. Go back to Metasploitable 2. Yeah, let me clear the screen for you guys. Yeah, there we go. Just go to a directory called var www mutility it's AE, right? Yeah. And enter. And then sudo to get root access, nano command, and then ifconfig.inc is the file that you want to open. Sorry, it's config.inc. Sorry guys. And enter. msf admin. As you can see, it's fetched the PHP file here. One we are interested is the final line, database name. I have set to OWASP 10, so it's displaying OWASP 10. But guys, for the first time if you're using it, it's mostly set to Mutility. So just remove Mutility and put OWASP 10 here. It should work. Then just exit, save the file, and yeah, that's it guys. So there you go guys. Now you know how to make use of SQL vulnerability that's present in application and extract the data that which we are not supposed to do. So go ahead and try it on your own. So that is it guys. I hope the session was informative and more fun. Well, I had a lot of fun explaining it to you guys. So well, if you encounter any error or any issue while installing the stuff which I showed you in the demo part, you can just post them in the comment section and we'll make sure to answer you as early as possible. So thank you. Meet you in the next session guys.
I hope you have enjoyed listening to this video. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries, and we will reply them at the earliest. Do look out for more videos in our playlist and subscribe to Edureka channel to learn more. Happy learning!